tuning in to the online broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing after-shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Oh, yes. It's really like fire in here because it's like really hot.
Yes.
And we got the red lights on. Oh, the red lights.
Red light special.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's going down. It's going down because it's none other than another episode of Hell's Kitchen.
Yes.
Oh! Ladies and gentlemen, we are back once again. I'm your host, Lem Gonsalves. As always, you can find me on social media at The Poet Saint. Right next to me is the lovely, the talented Miss Rhavin McSweaney.
Hey everybody, I am back, Rhavin with the V, and you can find me at B Stays Busy, Bizzy, on all social media platforms.
It's also Rhavin with an H too.
Oh yeah, there's an H in there too.
There's an H, son. Get that H for Hell's Kitchen. What? That's how we do it. Up next is Maria Provenzano. What's up, baby?
I will say she does stay busy. I love her Instagram. Get on that girl's Instagram. She had some awesome boots today.
Yeah.
I'm jealous, by the way. Anyways, hey, I'm Maria Provenzano. You can find me at Maria Provenzano on Twitter, and all my information will be there.
Yes, and she will also be holding on the live chat. And if you want to talk to her and she will convey to the rest of us what you're trying to say, just go to hashtag ABTV Hell's Kitchen and we will know what you're talking about. Of course, I can't forget about my main man, Frank Moran. What's up, man?
Not much, guys. You can follow me on Twitter at HappyGoJackie.
Yes.
There you
And
go.
it was a happy episode. No, it wasn't. It's never a happy
Hey,
episode.
well, it kind of could be.
Kind of. I mean, it's how you look at it.
There was
some good stuff. It did have a happy ending,
Yes.
which we'll get into.
It had a happy start there for Joe and Chad.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah.
There was a lot of stuff going on. But it's always funny because now that we're getting later on into this season, and it starts whittling down, I think is really when we really see the competition start. I think when we first start, the season, you got a lot of people that are not going to make it, and so they're kind of just there. They're kind of holding space. And so I was like, what?
That was our playback?
Oh,
I got my computer on
like,
mute.
what?
Okay.
It was
Sorry
like I
about
heard
that, Echo.
It's awesome. We're in a wind tunnel. This is amazing. So I think that, people holding space. Now we're getting down to the wire. These people are kind of the people that are, the competition is really starting, in my opinion. You start to see, the tempers are flaring, but then also people are asserting themselves and trying to make their claim and make their stake as hopefully as they should. So far, now that we're kind of at this point, what are you thinking? What are your thoughts, Frank? What are your thoughts, man?
It's interesting. Just Danny keeps wanting to be a leader, and yet, and as we get to it, we'll see what happens at the end of the episode with her. But I just feel like Gordon sees that how desperate she is to be a leader, and yet I'm not seeing anything really backing it up.
I totally agree with you, and this episode proved, without a shadow of doubt for me, that I can't see her in a leader position whatsoever. Like, I was really pulling for her, and I was telling you, I was a boxer. I really like her right out the gate. I was, she was one of my favorites. We have Ariel always talking about, she was your favorite. I heard you. I'm like, no, I said she was one of them, but I liked her. But now, like, especially looking at this episode, I'm really disappointed.
Yeah,
What do you think, Rhavin?
She kind of gave up her station.
Yeah.
I get it if you don't feel comfortable and you want help, but to just say, I'm done, like I can't, just take it over for me.
Yeah.
That kind of made me feel some type of way. And
well, it is one thing because when you have so many contestants, especially at the beginning of the series, it's easier to hide your flaws and your weaknesses amongst that because you can kind of blend it. But then when it starts numbers start whittling, what you can't do starts showing up more and more and really exposes what you're not so good at.
Well, then maybe it's a better thing that she did step up and say, "Hey, I'm actually not comfortable with this," instead of trying to pretend and then just F stuff up, maybe.
Well, I think that's I'm glad you said that, because I think that was her way of not kind of getting exposed.
True.
Because you think about it, and we see they alternate, obviously, stations that they're on.
Right.
So you may be on Appetizers one night, meat station or whatever. If they have a dessert, they have a dessert station.
Have they done desserts yet?
I don't think we
have, which I am like dying for. They made the macarons that one time, but it wasn't. They didn't do it like in the.
Right, it wasn't. Yeah,
I think a lot of it's prep.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right.
But they do have desserts sometimes, depending on, what the meal is looking like.
Right.
But we can't get to desserts if we can't even get the dinner service together, like
that's another thing too, because it's like, sometimes they don't even complete service. So
they might have
had desserts on the menu, but maybe didn't get to them because they didn't complete service. So that could be a situation. But yeah, I think, her being exposed and kind of just trying to hide, the situation, and you can only hide for so long.
Well, exactly.
You can only hide for so long. And those of us that, has been watching since day one, we know that it gets down to 6 jackets. When it gets on the 6 jackets, and it's the black jacket, so there's no red or blue team, everybody's for themselves.
Right.
So you really can't hide.
Right.
And I'm feeling right now that I can't see anybody from the blue team winning this thing.
Anybody from the blue team.
No, I don't think, because Jared, as much as he
might
says he's the leader for this, man, his communication skills are just awful.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like my front runner. I feel like I could see either Ashley or Ariel winning this thing.
I think I might have to agree with you. You disagree.
I disagree. Well, okay, let me start out by saying that I was wrong in my prediction. Notice how I'm like keeping quiet because I didn't want to say that I was wrong, but I was, because Kristen stepped up.
Hey.
She did.
And that's what he said.
Wait,
hold on.
Clear my throat.
Let me just say that I always admit when I'm wrong. So, anyways, yes, but I was. But but I was actually pleasantly surprised. Kristen stepped up, and I really liked that she said, you have to have humility. She was saying about Danny in the beginning, and that
Exactly.
I just really liked that, and showing her character a little bit. And I saw a lot of her work ethic, and then of course Ariel's work ethic, which I thought was really awesome.
Still on top.
Oh, yeah.
Still on point. And so that for me was really interesting. I think overall it was interesting to see the red team have the momentum that they had. So now
that they needed.
Exactly.
I
But
longed for them to have.
I know. And you saw the potential there, and that's the thing. Now, like you guys said, they're really figuring out the process. So when they're doing dinner service, it's like a well-oiled machine for those who are.
I think for them, it really just took them to, come together, because I think they were working more so like individuals, whereas the blue team seemed to be more working together.
Right.
They had the, whatever the camaraderie that they had going on kind of early. And so that kind of helped them along the way. But now, since we're getting down to who can really cook, we're seeing the red team, all they really needed to do was gel together because, so far as what we can see, they have the better chefs.
They do.
And so now it's just a matter of them working together. They should clean house. I mean, they really should. It really should.
Yeah,
as long as they can keep working together.
Yeah, because while I was saying that the lower numbers worked against Danny, kind of exposing her weaknesses, for Kristen, I thought it would give her a chance to really start shining. When you have this less people, that's a chance for you to step up and show what you really can do.
Sure.
And
she
it
really
showed how
succeeded.
much she helped other people
Yes.
too. Like she helped Jackie do her plating, and Jackie and she even says like I'm terrible.
Oh
at
yeah,
plating.
during the challenge.
Yeah, she's like I'm terrible at plating, and she was basically Kristen, and she says thank you to her. But it's like if you're the one plating someone else's plate, like that person shouldn't be there if like you're plating their
if you
plate.
have to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
It says a lot about the experience level of the people in the competition.
Yeah, and we find out kind of in the
We're gonna find some stuff.
I was like, what? The bombshell.
Yeah.
You know
I can't
what?
wait till
I'm
next
happy
episode.
they even showed that in the previews.
I
Like,
was
they're really,
not surprised.
Yeah.
I
I
was.
it makes
not.
sense now. I mean, I don't know. It makes sense now because
does.
there was a lot of things. She puts up a good front. You know, like I'm good. I'm not panicked. I'm not overwhelmed. I got this. I got this. And every time she would go to bat, it was just kind of like, okay, Jackie.
Yeah.
And she's like, I can cook the best. And
Right.
it's like, all right, we'll do it. That's like a Frank to me.
Right.
She's not as bad as Frank, though.
I'm just going to say that. Yeah, I was just going to say Frank is the same way. A lot of talk, a lot of bark, doesn't produce.
That challenge.
And it's easy to kind of, just stay on the, oh, you're just vocal, then, you kind of hide behind being loud or being, you know what I'm saying, aggressive, or, things of that nature.
It's good to be confident,
But
you have to follow through because
Exactly.
that doesn't happen with Frank, especially that we saw that in the challenge.
And we see that like in looking at Ariel. Ariel is a prime example. She's very confident.
Yeah.
She's confident in her ability. She's confident in what she does, and she backs it up. And here
follows
she is
through
killing
immaculately.
it. Shout out to Ariel.
Yes.
Killing it with a hurt or broke foot. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, she's all over the place.
And she got done a little dirty because she was the first person to say she was going to use 3 ingredients, ended up using the most.
Right. And still killed it.
Still came through. So.
Well, I love that moment where Ariel she just explained why she loves the kitchen so much and what that's done for her.
I loved that.
I thought that was a great moment to just get to know Ariel a little bit more.
That was. She's at home. That's where her home is.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about Amanda a little bit because she kind of let out some information that probably some people didn't care to hear about.
No.
She was talking about being a dancer at a go-go bar in her previous life. And she actually starts giving Danny a lap dance. And
And the go-go bar it's not like stripping.
Correct.
They're
Correct.
clothed,
Correct.
right?
Yeah,
So just want to clarify that.
They are doing
Thank you for that.
They're doing
Take
some,
the picture
some
out
of
of
our
my mind.
viewers.
Right. But it is like provocative moves and
You're doing
the
the same
dance.
thing.
Yes.
Right.
You're
Just
just close.
exactly.
But I've never seen Joe more attentive, just more quiet, just taking it all in. Just he was sitting upright, just like, yes.
Wax on, wax off.
Who was the one that said, "Oh, I have trouble sleeping at night"? Was
That was Chad.
That was Chad.
Yeah.
As soon as they started
That was
grinding on
hilarious.
Joe was on or Amanda was on top of Danny, he's like, that's hot.
Yeah,
He did
Frank's
say that was
Frank's
sexy.
like, nope.
Of course.
Negative. I'm good. Well, first of all, and she said herself, she's 4'11". She's like 100 soaking wet. I'm just like, okay.
What you
I'm
say?
cool.
What are you saying?
No, I'm just saying that's what I'm saying.
Not your type of figure woman?
No,
or,
I'm saying
I'm like,
like no.
Like, hold on, man.
Listen. What I'm saying is how she was. I'm looking at her moves, right?
I'm not gonna do my moves for you.
No, but I'm looking at her moves, and it's like I would think that if you're going to be doing a dance,
Right.
you gotta have a
Rhythm?
little bit in the
No, that's not where he's going.
But you have to have rhythm, number one. But there has to be a little bit of something in the backside.
I knew he
Don't
was
hate on the girls who don't have booties.
I'm not hating.
speaking for himself.
He's just digging himself.
Len, blow out of this, Len. You can't.
This is deja vu. This is deja vu.
I always do this to myself. I always never fails. I always do it to myself.
I know. We're like 100
All
soaking wet right here.
all right. No, but okay. Moving on. So there's a rock band that plays in the dining room.
Segue.
It's a rock band, and Steve Vai is playing the guitar, and he's
That was cool.
Chef Renzo. That was dope.
But that made me laugh so much when Ramsay says to him, "Steve, great to see you as always." I'm like,
Yeah.
how often are you two hanging out? Really?
I mean,
That's a buddy.
You think about it, they're probably around the same age, maybe. And they could, they're both like celebrity status.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they hang out every day, but they probably see each other.
They probably
in
do
the same
favors for one
circles or
another
whatever,
every once in a
something
while.
like
Yeah,
that.
you never know.
You never know. You never know.
Sure.
Yeah, he said sure.
Frank's like, nah, I don't believe it. I don't believe it at all. So he has him do a solo, and then he uses that he says, each chef needs to pick a protein and choose how many ingredients they're going to do. So with that, what he's basically saying is you have like a range from 3 to 7 ingredients. And so he says basically that, you could do a lot with few ingredients and you can do a lot with a lot of ingredients. So I'm going to challenge you to see, how you can work that.
Right.
And you have to pick a different protein. So everybody basically has to pick a different protein on each team and then choose how many ingredients they're going to do.
I thought that was a great challenge.
I thought it was
That was a
too.
dope challenge. That was a dope challenge. And I thought it was interesting to see how many, because I'm not a chef at all. I do not cook. I cook to stay alive. That's what I do.
Right.
I cook
Okay.
so I can breathe.
Basics.
Kind of nourishment. So I was thinking to myself, I was like, well, I would think I would want to pick the most ingredients because then I have more to work with. Where it seemed like everybody, and you're obviously a chef, and so you can probably attest to this, it seemed like more people were choosing the fewer ingredients. Like, for instance...
Jumping first.
Yeah, doing first. Like, what was it, Ariel and who else she was arguing with?
Kristen
And
about...
Jackie.
Yeah.
And then Jackie.
Jackie.
Yeah, and wanting just the 3 ingredients. And I'm thinking, like, why would that be? So, Maria, can you shed light on that? What do you think that is?
I mean, because when you have multiple ingredients, they all have to work cohesively together. You know what I mean? So if you have all these different things, you have to figure out how to let all of them shine. Whereas if you have fewer, you can focus on one and maybe have that enhance, if that makes sense.
Right.
So the thing that I wish could have happened, and we don't see as much, we see more of the drama. I want to see a little bit more cooking. Like, I wish I could have seen the thought process on how, like, they choose this, because they didn't get to choose, like, I can choose any protein I want, because ultimately in something like with few ingredients, like having like just an egg, you can do so much with just an egg, which is really interesting. So like, I think it would have been cool to like have them have creative freedom, but it was also interesting to see what they would do with, like, you know, the proteins that were picked. But yeah, so like the fewer ingredients, and there's a fine line. It's what everyone wants. 3.
Right.
3 is like a good, like 3 is sort of like the trifecta. You can have like something sort of sweet, something sort of savory, and something and have those balance of flavors. Whereas 2 is a little not enough, and then 4 is like whatever. So 7 is a lot if you think about it. Like Ariel said, like, I have this, and then I have this, and then I have this.
You
like,
have to figure out how to make it cohesive.
And I think it's not easy just making it cohesive too, but also that's 7 ingredients that you have to cook properly too.
Exactly.
Right.
And so
The
that's
execution.
Can't just throw them together.
That makes sense.
And you can't, I mean, Chef Ramsay, if you're like, just put spinach on top and like, voila, he's gonna be like, I don't think
that's not gonna work. That's not gonna work. Okay, so we see Chad. He seems to be painting garlic on the tuna, and his, you know, Jared's trying to help him, and he's like, I think that's. He's like, no, I got this.
He did the Rosa Parks
song. Yeah, he's like, son, I got this. This is me all day.
Yeah, but you know, as soon as they say that, it's gonna come back to bite him.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking, and again, going back to my inexperience, but even I was like, that seems excessive.
I've never seen it.
You know what? I was
so
like,
dark.
I was sitting there watching. I was like, I am so curious right now if this is actually going to be good, and I was hoping that it was going to be. But
I was rooting for him. Like, okay, you hold your ground, boo. Get it.
Yeah.
And then I was like,
and then a plate of poo, poo.
Right, it was pretty bad. Jackie, we see, is struggling as usual, and needing help from everybody. And then she gets help plating from what we were talking about, Kristen, who helps her plate. And we see that it helps towards the end. So we get to the challenge, and so the first is a sea bass, and so it's Amanda against Kristen. And so they each have 5 ingredients that they use. And it was interesting too, because a lot of these were the same. They kind of, with the proteins that were chosen, they picked around the same amount of ingredients.
Right.
So they each that was interesting. Yeah,
I saw
that's a good point.
So 5 ingredients. And so Amanda ended up pulling this out, which I was very surprised, because I thought Kristen, again, looking holistically, to me, she seemed like she would be the better cook or better chef. Right. But Amanda kind of pulled it out. So I thought it was a boost for her. Came down to hanger steak, and so we have Frank, your favorite person. And
Frank, we need to have a conversation.
Right. And of course, Ariel, who ended up having 7 ingredients. Frank used 6. And Ariel killed it, as always.
Did you see Frank's plate though? Yeah. Like those potato pieces.
She goes, where was the potato scattered around the plate?
It looked like when have you ever seen like school lunch and or school breakfast, and they have the hash browns and they're like the little squares?
Yeah.
That's what it looked like. I was like, what is that?
So those were the potatoes? Those little pieces?
That's what I thought. Like the little squares. Yeah. Those were the potatoes, right? Yeah, it was like sprinkled around.
When he tells Ramsay, like, I didn't want to put too much on the plate.
Right.
And he just starts laughing.
Yeah, he's like, what are you didn't put nothing on the plate. This is terrible.
It was a lot of missing plates for this challenge. Not enough food on the plates for this
Absolutely.
Yeah, that continued on.
Yeah. So then we get into lobster.
Speaking of
which.
And then we have...
He was hungry, man.
Wait, I'm sorry. But this was... Because we see him tasting it.
And I didn't think anything was wrong, but then he starts choking.
Right, he gets caught in his throat. but I didn't realize he had the whole he got the whole lobster lodged in his throat. That's why he was choking, because he ate the whole dang lobster.
Like,
God don't like ugly. That's what happened.
Yo,
my heart sort of broke for him, because I was like, the poor guy was hungry. Like, feed them. Poor.
And I know how those productions go. You go hours and hours, they don't feed you that much.
But wait, hold on. Nobody's starving. Like, let's keep it all the way real.
He wanted some lobster.
You may not eat, like, when you want to.
I'm trying to help him,
but
man.
nah, there's no, and it was funny too, because he's like, where's the lobster claw? He's like, oh, I ate it. He's like,
but he goes, I believe so.
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
like the tail,
yeah,
the knuckle, and he's like, I believe so.
I believe so. I ate
yes,
it.
that's
I ate it.
What?
He's like, where is it? And he's just laughing because it's so ridiculous. Like, he literally ate his whole protein. So, I mean, I knew right away. I don't care who he was up against. He was going to lose. And he was up against Jackie and didn't work. Jackie won. So then it came down to tuna. And we have Mr. Chad, Mr. Black Garlic himself, which, like he said, looked like poo all on the. That was pretty.
Play-O poo.
Yeah, that was nasty. And it probably tasted really bad, because I'm thinking black garlic. It'd be an overpowering type thing. You couldn't even probably taste the fish.
He cooked it in it, and then he
put teppanyaki and stuff on there.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
Bad.
Not so bueno.
Yeah. And so he's up against Ashley, and then Ashley ends up taking it. And they don't even need to do the last one, because
Yeah, that's
the
what I
women at
wanted
that
to see.
Right, but it wasn't necessary,
didn't
because the
even
women, or not the women, excuse me, the red team ended up pulling it out. So they pull it out, and of course the blue team loses. So the red team's prize is they get to play paintball. Which seemed
right
kind
up
of fun.
Jackie's alley.
And Jackie is blasting everything like it's a video game. She's like, I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you. I'm coming for everybody. She was
I'd be scared of her.
I would too, but she needed to get that out. She had some built-up
She had some built-up aggression that she needed to take care of. Yeah, that was
And a lot of unnecessary face shots and headshots.
Yeah,
She was always going for that.
I would have felt some type of way.
Exactly.
I'm gonna hit him in the head.
Right. Yeah, really. And so the blue team, their punishment was they had delivery day. And so they had to basically, take the deliveries in, and it was always a number of things. And they were taking ice, I believe, initially. And then we see, first of all, we see a couple of things happen. First, we find out that Frank is a really, really bad male chauvinist. Like, really bad. And I was like, to the point, like, he obviously, military dude, which no excuse for that whatsoever, not excusing. But he's always kind of been the forceful one, and kind of like, don't care what anyone says. And especially like if a woman was to challenge him, he seemed to, push back or whatever. But he really, like, he didn't care. Like, he's like, I mean, I can't stand working with women.
Blatantly, that's the quote. That's what
like
I put in my
the
notes.
pure example of why I don't like working with women.
And I'm just like, dude, are you serious? First of all, you're trying to be a head chef where you're going to have male and female, people in the kitchen. So if you're saying you can't stand, you could possibly, because you're not going to win this, first of all, you're not going to win this.
No.
So if you want to continue in this business, you could very well may have a woman head chef ahead of you.
And she would own you.
Yes. Big time. Like, I could see, like, if he was on the red team, Christina would murder him.
Oh, yeah.
She would murk him, like, all
Hands
day,
down.
every day.
Hands
not
down.
even
I kind of want Danny to, like...
Right.
That's why I'm excited, I mean, I guess we'll get to that at the end, but
right. Yeah, that's going to be
excited
interesting.
for that.
It's going to be interesting. And then I really feel bad for Amanda this whole entire episode, because she's trying. She tweaks her back while she's pulling the stuff out. And so one thing is, I like that she didn't give up. Because that could have been an example where she could have been like, oh, I need to see the medic.
Yeah.
And I need to go to the hospital and, to try to get away from the situation.
Done that.
Right, exactly.
And she didn't.
Exactly.
But don't you guys think she should have prior to this dinner service, like in the middle of the day? Wouldn't she be like, listen, I have this problem. Let's get it fixed now. Or like ice it, heat it, do something with it so that I can be there for service tonight. No?
I would think that, but I'll put it like this. And this is why one thing that I kind of, I kind of became a little bit on Team Manda. And the reason why I say that is you could tell that she really is here for the betterment of her family. Yeah. She talks about having 3 kids as a single mother. And so she really, imagine. You know what I'm saying? And, she talked about being on welfare, and kind of, we know that she had to be a go-get dancer. Not saying that's what she wanted to do, but that's what she did to help support her family and what have you. So she's kind of been through the ringer, and her thing is like, this is going to be a betterment for my family. you know, and this is going to help me out. So I think she was scared if she was to go out.
Yeah, because there's that possibility that they would say you have to rest. You can't be, you know. And
or you have to get kicked off.
Right. And she definitely explains that.
Yeah, but Ariel's walking around with a broken foot and she's still on the show.
Exactly.
Well, these are two. We're talking about a strong black woman and someone who's kind of like, I don't want anyone to tell me to go home. Like, even when Chef was like, I want you to leave, and she was like, I don't want to go home. You know?
Yeah.
Like, but I think a lot of it is fear. I think she was just afraid that what may happen if, you know, because it could be serious or...
I hope it doesn't get worse.
Yeah. I hope so, too. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how that develops.
I think she was overreacting.
You think so?
I was going to low-key say that, but I didn't want to point fingers.
Sorry. I don't know if I believe her. And
I'm sure it hurt, but I mean, to the extent where...
I'm sure it hurt, and you know, I hate to say this, so like, but for her sake, I hope it did, because I hope she wasn't faking. But it seemed so dramatic to me. But we'll see in the next episode.
Yeah, I mean, it was tough at the end when she was actually laying down in the kitchen right there, saying, "I'm one of the strongest people here."
And then coughed, and then was like, "Out."
And then coughed.
But you know they edited it that way. Right?
Yeah, but she's laying on the floor.
Yeah.
And she was crying. Like,
yes.
I mean, okay, do you...
She had made it through all the service.
I mean, she did. But Maria, do you really think that she was... I mean, given the nature of the entire situation, do you think... Okay, I'll ask you this. Do you think it was a situation where she was faking it, or do you think that it was more overwhelmed by the whole situation? Being on the blue team, being, you know, kind of not doing well. Do you think it was all of that combination?
I think it was just... Yes, but I think she was over-dramatizing the whole thing. That's my personal, watching it. I was just kind of like, I mean, you can definitely, pull a muscle, do something like that in your back, and that would hurt really, really bad. But for her not, if it was hurting so bad that you couldn't move, you would have got, Ariel's I cannot walk.
Right.
You would have had to
she
get help.
Did say
if she could rally, I mean, that's where I was like, I sort of feel like she's looking for an excuse. Maybe she knew she was going to be on the meat area that night. It's her first time, and she's looking for excuses. Sorry, I want her to do well, but when I watched it, that was just what my gut told me.
Really?
Yeah. Sorry. Oh, I'm so terrible.
Oh, you're the hater.
Even with the sore back, I still think that didn't excuse her performance on the meat station, because her back or not, she just wasn't communicating at all.
Yeah.
I think that was the biggest downfall that she had on there.
Sure.
And then the crazy part is they started communicating very well, from the challenge at least.
Right.
When they were writing down, okay, who's doing what ingredients, because that's where I thought the red team kind of fell under the radar. I'm like, okay, where's the communication going?
Right.
So I had higher hopes for dinner service for the blue team. I thought they were going to really be able to.
Yeah, well, even when Ramsay does this little side talk with Manda to see if she wants to be in, as you were talking about, Rhavin, and she comes back and she says, "This is all on me. This is all on me." It's like, you took the wrong thing away from that camera. It's not just on you. It's asking your team for help.
Right.
Yeah.
Delegate.
Well, and I think, and it could be, not to try to jump in territory, because I always tend to do that where I shouldn't be, but just for the record, I think all gold dancers, they all,
it's too late.
Everyone matters.
Let it go.
Booty or not, booty or not, you matter.
Yes.
What I was attempting to say.
I'm gonna go work out my booty later, so I have a
That's not even. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Do a little squat date.
Squat date. You know what? I think both of you are amazing. I'm not even mentioning what's going on with my co-hosts, because you are both beautiful women, and that's all I'm going to say. Anyway, my point is,
Frank's pretty too.
Come on, my butt,
I know.
Come on, don't talk about my
Frank,
butt.
I'm not going to talk about your butt.
All butts need love.
That's one thing I'm not going to do. I refuse to do it. No. I don't care. But no, what I was going to say is, it could be a situation, and you being a mother, again, I'll put it to you, it could be a situation where she has 3 kids, she's on her own, she's used to doing things herself.
Yeah.
And that that's the only thing I could think of is maybe why she has that mentality.
I think she just really wants to prove herself. And, at the end of the day, I mean, I have 1 child and a husband, and I'm overwhelmed. So I can't imagine being a single mom of 3 kids.
Right.
So that's a lot. I mean, kudos to her, and kudos to her for working this hard. So I think, she probably is like, I got this, I can do this. And maybe it's more like thinking out loud. But she's trying to put up a front. She's trying to have her game face.
Yeah.
So...
But I feel like you can't be this far in the competition and not know that the key to success is communication and knowing when to ask for help.
Right. And sometimes I think it just takes some people longer than others to realize that. And she could be one that is just taking her a while. Also, too, you got to understand, in my opinion, from what we see, her team still doesn't believe in her.
Right.
And so when your team doesn't believe in you and you're in a team situation, it's kind of hard to divert to them. It's kind of like you're constantly trying to prove yourself. And I feel like she's always trying to prove herself that she matters, that she belongs there, that I got this. And, with all right now, up until, the next episode, we'll see it's just all guys. So she's pit up against, and she got Frank, you know what I'm saying, who doesn't even respect her. I mean, that's a lot to go up under. So it's just, I think that's why she's playing that role.
But it's frustrating. I'm sorry, Rhavin.
No, I was just going to say, I really wish they would have used her dish from the last episode during Challenge, because I think she would have killed it. Because she killed it this time for Challenge, and Frank is still just womp womp.
Yeah, exactly.
I really wish they would have used her dish so that maybe they would have had a little more, faith in her.
Sorry, you guys, real quick. Andy, on our chat, he goes, "Haterade is real."
Oh!
Wait, which one?
That's what I'm
one?
wondering. So Andy,
Is
you
it
gotta
the
bring
booty
me
talk
back.
or is it?
Oh, he's so funny. He did a smiley face and said JK, but
He was not kidding.
What do you mean?
Haterade. I mean,
that might have been towards you.
I think that was towards you. I'm just saying. I think that's what it was.
Or haterade against our booties.
No, it wasn't.
That's what I was thinking the whole time.
You know what?
You know what? I love you.
You know what? Oh, gosh, I'm not saying anything ever again.
Oh, there's no
about
going
that.
back.
But I will say, for as much as we're kind of discussing Amanda, certainly, given what happens at the end of the episode, Chef Ramsay does see something in her, because he could have easily.
He could have
He could've.
easily sent her home.
I really thought, I don't know about you all, but I thought he was going to kill her.
Oh, yeah.
I thought he was going to send her home.
I didn't.
You didn't?
I didn't for some reason.
I really thought, because number one, because of her being hurt, because her not, doing well, and I thought it was, again, more of a mercy thing, like, you know what, you just got to go. Like, it's
I don't
just
know.
not gonna
I
work.
think he really believes in her from the time he switched her to the blue team and he went and talked to her like, I want you to go. Like, you are on your last string, and she got through service, and, I don't know. I think he sees something in her. More than that.
I think so too. I mean,
I think he has
like
soft
you said,
heart,
the fact
even
that
though
he
he's always
didn't,
cursing.
the fact that he didn't let her go, he obviously does see something in her. I do like the oath that he made them say. The
That was funny.
Oath. That was classic.
Well, you could feel there was positivity, there's
Right.
momentum. You could feel like, I kind of felt that with the show. It felt good. It felt like there was a lot of like passion going on.
Yes.
People
Yeah.
were ready to prove themselves.
Yes.
And that's kind of like what he touched on. That was funny.
Yes, that
He
was good.
definitely said this was the first like respectable dinner service.
They both finished.
Right.
The respectable one.
It was
so.
respectable. It
enjoyed
didn't
it.
start off that way because, of course, there's always challenges when it comes to dinner service. And Jared started messing up scallops out the gate. And then we see Danny, and we were talking about this earlier about kind of her weaknesses. And she refused to make pizza, which I would think that, wouldn't be, in the caliber of cooks and chefs that they are,
Right.
should be something that you should be able to do. Again, they're rotating stations, should be a no-brainer. She refuses to do it because she feels like she can't do it correctly.
And it wasn't posted by her team like, you got to do this. And they're all like,
Right.
hey, we just want you to try it so you're not afraid of it. I mean,
Exactly.
they seem like that's what would seem the best environment to want to
They
do
were
that.
being very supportive. They were being
And
very
that's
supportive.
what matters the most.
Right, exactly.
In order to jail together.
Right.
Yes. Mana is going slow in the blue kitchen. Unfortunately, she's just kind of, in outer space. And Ariel actually kind of is assertive and starts directing Danny, which I'd like to see, because what that shows, Danny obviously has a strong personality. So because Ariel is asserting herself, she had to listen. Like, there was nothing else she could do but listen to what she had to say.
I did like how they kept cutting to a little bit earlier with Danny cooking that risotto. Still 4 minutes. Yeah. Still gonna need 4 minutes.
Yeah,
Of that risotto.
on that first risotto when the second one came in.
How long is this risotto going to take? It's like a 30-minute risotto. Like, this is getting kind
Wait,
of
didn't
crazy.
Kristen say like I think the risotto got a little too much love or
Yeah.
too much
Oh,
love on the
right,
risotto?
right. She was on that for a while. I also like when Jared and Chad get to have like kind of a talk.
Yeah.
They're forced to chat, and I love the like slow music in the background. He's like, I need to communicate better. Yeah, I do too. Like, it's really
It was a
important. that
therapy
everybody-
session.
Like, it was hilarious. And then of course Frank is like, "What's going on over there?
Like, that's
This
cute,
is
but
terrible. We're cooking over here."
Chef Ramsay has his little moments, like,
Yeah.
I feel like, where he sort of softens, and that was one of them. Like, he told Jared originally, go outside, clear your head, like, gave him a chance to do that.
Right.
And then he like gave him another chance. He's like,
Right.
okay, you guys need to sit down and talk. So it was interesting. And then he pulls Amanda aside and is like, she says, I'm ready to stay, and he lets her stay. So it's like, geez, he was a softie
Right.
this episode.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was I think it's one of those things where and watching the show and kind of how it develops every season, you get to a point where it's kind of like the middle point, and everybody is just really kind of frustrated and like morale is low, and it's like he needs something, because if you think about it, I don't think they had both finished dinner service together up to this point, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So either somebody did and then somebody had to help out, or vice versa. But it wasn't. Or they got kicked out. So I think that messes with you, and your morale can get very low, especially if you think like you come in there thinking I'm gonna kill it and you don't. So I think it was good for him. I mean, I think he saw a moment where he could be like, okay, let me be supportive of these people. Still him, like he's not, by any means, he's still doing what he does. But I think it was a matter where he could, like, he pulled Amanda inside. He sat, Jared and Chad down. Like, these are things where normally he could have just kicked him out if he was just too frustrated. Right. So the fact that he kept them, and then we see at the end, which we'll get into, that everybody stays. Yeah. So I think, like, team support, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like hashtag team support. Yeah. And I think it's good to see that, because then it gives kind of a balance, and then you can kind of see like, okay, who really, now that you've got the support, who's really going to take off now? Right. Because there's really no excuse.
Because ultimately he still needs someone to take home the bacon.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
That's why there's moments for this show that I wish we had a chance for, just to hear what Gordon thinks in some moments. Yeah. Like when he chooses to be supportive, his version of supportive, when he decides just to throw people out of the kitchen, and why he chooses each of those reasons, why he decides that's the moment to push him out, that's a reason to kind of just have a little chat with him. I'd love to hear some of his inner thoughts on this.
It would be good. I mean, it'd be nice if they had like a Hell's Kitchen, like, after the kitchen, and you get to kind of sit down with them and kind of talk to him and like, why did you do this? And what do you think? But I do think when we see him during some of the, when they win the rewards and he's kind of sitting down with him, I think that's very candid, and I think that's him. I think that's him at his core, and he's kind of talking to them, and he's still him. He's not a jolly by any means, but he's more relaxed. But then he's kind of talking to them. He's like, hey, you guys got to be good. He's like, got to be consistent. Like, he's kind of giving them pointers and things of that nature, and kind of just giving them advice. And of course, it's edited, so we don't get to see all of it. But I know in some of the people that we've interviewed, when they sit down with him, they really do get a lot from that. And they take it. But then, of course, you get back in the kitchen, he switches back on.
It's a business.
Yeah, exactly. And you got to be ready to switch, and get it cracking. So, as we mentioned, the red team wins this particular time. And actually, they win, but both teams do complete service. There is a winner. Red team wins. So, it is up to the blue team now to then go and pick 2 people. And so, we talked about this before, but Amanda, of course, is just getting beat up by the guys on her team. Unfortunately, she's laid out, she's crying, she's frustrated, her back hurts, she's probably missing her kid. I mean, there's a lot of things, a wealth of emotions going on. I mean, just going on with her. And like I said, I really did. I mean, I know, you're just think she's fake.
No, I think she's over dramatic.
Stop it, Lem.
I know, no. I know. I really did. I felt for her. I felt my heartstrings were plucked for Miss Amanda. Yes. So I really felt, and seeing what she's going through. And my thing was, I was glad that she didn't give up. She did go back in the kitchen. Even when Chef Ramsay pulled her, she was ready to get back in there. Like, that's the one thing. I think the thing that for him, I think, is when you give up. When you literally is like, I can't do this, or, and that's when he's like, all right, you're out of here. So the fact that she didn't give up, I think, was good for her to kind of get her to stay. Of course.
But I won't call a BS on Frank, though, because as they lose and they're going back to deliberate, he says, all right, with the blue team, there's no bickering. It's not personal. It's just business. Like, come on, Frank. All you've been is just hating on Amanda this whole time. It is absolutely personal with you.
It's very
And
personal.
do challenges not count? Like, I feel like, she did good. No one else.
That's true.
On her team.
Well, and that
pulled through on the challenge. No one but her.
And the thing is, she has to learn. This is the thing that she has to learn, is she has to, and this is bitter in the booty before. Remember when she was still on, when she was on the blue team, I think she had first got on the blue team, and they had those dishes, and remember she made one with Frank.
That's the one I said I wish they would have used it.
Exactly, and they didn't use it.
I'm sure she would have killed it.
And Frank ended up using his because he was really loud and she didn't speak up for herself. And the thing is, she has to learn to do that. And I think it's got to be a difficult situation.
It can't be easy when you're the only girl.
That's what I'm saying. Which I think is going to be interesting dynamic to see when Danny jumps over and it kind of balances out a little bit. Because now one of the guys go over to the red team. But I think it's going to be a different situation. But that's, I mean, being in that situation, being, you know, who she is, she's, you know, obviously, you know, withdrawn, you know, maybe getting, you know, a little bit emotional or maybe overdoing things according to Maria.
Girlfriend, if you are hurt, get help.
That sounded like a PSA.
Right. If your back is twisted at Hell's Kitchen, get help.
See something, say
Right.
something.
888, get help. No. No, really. I mean, so obviously, but you know, her team, their whole thing is, and you think about it, it's still a competition at the end of the day. If she's the weak link, she's got to go.
Yeah.
And that's what they're looking at. So when it comes time, you know, to send them up, they end up sending up, of course, her, which, again, no surprise in my mind. And then they send up Jared. Which also, I think, deserved to go up. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I guess other than anybody else.
I mean, he was just all over the place. Like, he wasn't focused.
Yeah, the fact that he had to be called out twice was
that's true.
He was
That's
gone.
true.
And I normally hold Jared pretty high for me personally, but I was just kind of like, where? What?
Yeah.
Okay, come on, get it together.
I was kind of trying to figure out who they would pick, because I mean, you would think Frank, but he didn't really do anything messed up. You know, it was just with the challenge, but in the service, he didn't really.
I'm waiting for a reason for Frank to get
Yeah. He's, I mean, it's coming. It's coming. It's maybe got to whittle down a little bit because, like I said, he's so much talker and he kind of talks his way out of things and kind of bullies his way a little bit. Right. So it's going to come down to where it's just going to be blatant. He's just not going to be able to do it.
Even when Chef Ramsay was asking, why are you putting these people up? I felt like Frank's explanations were a little bit over dramatic. Like, you talked to him, you talked to Jared about communication, and it still didn't get better. And it was like, but it did after they had this, after the second time, it did get better. But he made it seem like it just never got better. So that's why we're putting him up for a little bit.
No, he's gonna find a way to. Again, he's also not trying to have himself go up. So it's all manipulation. You know, you got to look at it for what it is. So a lot of things happen at the very end. Manager go up. He actually pulls Chad out of the lineup, which I was like, what's going on? And then doesn't send him home, but sends him to the red team. Then Danny pulls her out and then tells her she's going to the blue team. And then Amanda and Jerry get to stay. So, complete shocker to me. I did not see this.
I didn't see it coming.
I don't ever remember seeing it like this exactly in any season.
Yeah.
And it was so weird that his excuse to Chad was that he feels like he's losing his confidence. And certainly while Chad hasn't delivered a lot in the challenges, I mean, he hasn't done anything awful where I felt like his confidence is slipping. So it was kind of interesting that was his reason.
I think because he started stronger, and so I think his expectations were a little higher.
I think it's more mannerisms too. He's like just looks so deflated, and something that they don't maybe talk about enough, or I mean, you know, as part of the drama of the show. But is that they don't like the living situation and their day to day, like that's pretty rough. Like, and I'm sure it messes with you emotionally.
It's a mental game also. Yeah. I mean, you're sequestered. That you got to look at that. It's the challenges, but it's also a mental game, big time. Yeah, and you got to be mentally strong to do that. So let's get into predictions. Let's do that right now. Boom.
Your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
All right, so I'll start with you, Frank.
I do not predict Danny's stay to be very long. I mean, as I was saying earlier before, I mean, Gordon she sees that Danny's desperate to lead, but even when she was on the red team and had an opportunity to lead, it's really been Ariel or Kristen that's really kind of stepped up and really been the leaders. Danny just really hasn't delivered. And so I feel like on the blue team, it's not going to work out well for her, and she's going to be gone. It'll be a question, though, if it's going to be her or Frank that's going to flame out first.
Okay.
And I have a feeling it's probably going to be Danny, just because it seems to be so present in Gordon's mind that that's what he wants Danny to do, is be a leader, and she's not going to deliver.
Okay.
I think that we are going to see either something really good or really bad out of Chad, but Chad is, I think maybe this is more of a hope. I hope we see really good parts of Chad, because I think he has a lot of potential. I think he's very, meticulous. And he's well trained, and I think he has it in him, and I think that Chef Ramsay sees it, and I really hope he doesn't disappoint him. So that's kind of what I see with him. But I if I were to predict who's going home next, I think Jackie's going home.
Okay. What do you think, Rhavin?
I definitely don't think Jackie's going home, because they need the drama. I kind of feel the same way you were feeling about Danny. I think she might be going home soon. But Ariel, I mean, she's unwavering. Like, she's on point. And I still, like I said last week, Kristen, I'm still pushing for her to keep coming out of her shell. Yeah. Because she's the one that was inspired through being on, probation.
Right. Oh,
That's
yes.
why I like her.
Yeah. Oh, her
She's like
backstory.
a little rough and
That's
tough, and I'm like,
right.
That's true.
I remember that.
She's
That's
got
right.
she's like
She
an
did.
underdog to
That's
me.
hilarious. I actually agree with all of you. Frank, I agree with you in the sense that I think it's going to be a situation with Danny, and she's going to have a rough time over on the blue, because right now I think she's been able to skate on her laurels on the red team, and now on the blue team with a different situation. If she performs like she's been performing, it's going to be wide open, and I think they're going to attack her right away. You know, as far as if she continues that, they're going to put her up for. She's going to go up for elimination if they end up losing. And then I also agree with you with Kristen. I mean, you know, I called it, you know, last week.
I know you did.
I
see. I've been beat up this week.
No.
I'm mean, and I don't have a booty.
What? I never. What?
I just had to throw it in one more time. I'm sorry.
Oh my God, Maria, you make the cookies. I'm never gonna be mad at you. You bring me nourishment. You are always gonna be the best of my book. Always. I just like having, you know, the difference of opinion or what have you.
It's important. We need it. We need it, right?
We have to. We can't all be kumbaya. Come on now.
That's true.
But no, I mean, but like I said, all of it, what you said, I agree with you. I think it's going to be very interesting, though, especially what we got the sneak peek regarding the one that has only 3 months of service, Jackie. Mm-hmm. That's going to be interesting how they all kind of turn on her and like how they, you know what I'm saying? Because now she's like super exposed. Happen. So I'm excited to see what that's going to be, but I think it's going to be a great episode.
I'm excited for it. Yeah,
it's going to be a great episode. But ladies and gentlemen, that has been our show. We want to thank you for tuning in always. I want to thank you for being in a live chat with our girl Maria, and we appreciate you. Make sure you subscribe to AfterBuzz TV. Make sure you comment on the YouTube channel. Let us know how you feel. Let us know about all of that. Give us your favorite person, who you think is going to win. All of that. We want to know all of that, so we can kind of, you know, see how we fare. I've been your host, Lem Gonsalves. You can find me always at The Poet Saint all day. Rhavin, where you at, girl?
You can find me at B Stays Busy, Bizzy, Rhavin with the V, out of here.
Yeah.
And you can find me, Maria Provenzano, on Twitter, and all my stuff will be there.
You can follow me on Twitter at HappyGoJackie. We can just chat about booties, things like that, you know. It's my booty talk right there on Twitter.
Booty talk.
Hashtag booty talk. Oh my gosh, you guys are crazy. I
never
love
let
my
it down.
cast. They're amazing. They always keep me in line.
Squad
That's been our
goals.
show. That's what it is. Squad goals. We'll see you next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV Network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.